I never thought a simple cup of hot chocolate could unravel my entire life. But there I was, staring at Evelyn's lifeless body slumped over the breakfast bar, her manicured fingers still clutching the mug I'd just switched with hers. The poison she'd meant for me burned in her veins instead, and as the room spun into darkness, I felt our souls twist like frayed wires, mine slamming into her withered shell, hers fleeing into mine like a thief in the night. By dawn, I was her, 62, silver-haired, and staring at my own 28-year-old face in the mirror, pale and gasping, with no idea the real hell was just beginning. The switch hit me like a freight train through the loop at rush hour, sudden, deafening, and leaving me gasping for air that tasted wrong, like old perfume and regret. I blinked, and the world righted itself, but nothing else did. My hands, her hands, were veined and spotted, rings I'd never seen glinting under the harsh fluorescence of the hospital room. Wait. Hospital? No. This was the guest bathroom in Evelyn's sprawling Gold Coast penthouse, all marble and mirrors that screamed old money. I stumbled to the sink, splashing water on a face that wasn't mine, sharp cheekbones softened by years, eyes the color of faded jade, lips I'd always envied for their perpetual smirk now pulled into a grimace. Raylan, my own voice, her voice, laced with that Midwestern lilt she'd never quite shaken from her Iowa roots, echoed off the tiles. But it was me calling out to myself, because across the hall, in the king-sized bed we'd shared for the nightmare of a family Christmas, my body, Evelyn's puppet now, stirred under the Egyptian cotton sheets. Panic clawed up my throat. This wasn't some acid trip from bad eggnog. This was real. Visceral. Like waking up in someone else's skin after a bender you didn't remember. Evelyn had always been the queen bee of our family, the one who orchestrated every holiday with the precision of a corporate takeover. My husband, Derek, her golden boy, worshipped the ground she walked on, even as she chipped away at our marriage like a termite in the foundation. I'd married into it 5 years ago, fresh out of Northwestern with a journalism degree and dreams of exposing corruption in the Windy City. Instead, I got a mother-in-law who viewed me as the help, pretty enough to parade at galas, but never quite up to snuff for her precious son. That hot chocolate? It was her peace offering after weeks of snide comments about my bohemian career choices. Darling, why chase shadows when you could join the board at Daddy's firm? She'd cooed, handing me the mug with that smile that never reached her eyes. It smelled off bitter, like almonds laced with spite, but I'd been too exhausted from dodging her barbs to question it. Derek was in the den, nursing a scotch and pretending not to notice. So I'd switched the cups on impulse, a petty rebellion born of too many swallowed insults. One sip for her, and she'd convulsed, eyes bulging like a fish on the dock. I'd lunged to call 911, but the room tilted, and then this. Now, in her body, I crept back to the bedroom, heart hammering against ribs that felt too frail. My old body, Evelyn's stolen prize, sat up, sheets pooling around its waist. Those hazel eyes, my eyes, locked on me with a predator's gleam. What? What have you done? She whispered. But it was my voice, laced with her venom. You poisoned me, I hissed back, Evelyn's cultured tones feeling foreign on my tongue. What the hell was in that drink? Evelyn? Some black market heartstopper to frame me for your sudden passing? She laughed, a tinkling, girlish sound that used to grate on me from across the dinner table. Now it slithered out of my own throat, chilling me to the bone. Oh, Raylan. Always the dramatic one. If you'd just drunk it like a good girl, You'd be the grieving widow by morning. Derek would inherit everything. And I'd retire gracefully. Retire? The word hung like smog over Lake Michigan. Evelyn Hargrove wasn't the retiring type. At 62, she was the iron-fisted COO of Hargrove Investments, a firm that had clawed its way from Chicago's meatpacking district to Wall Street wannabe status through shady deals and shadier handshakes. Whispers in the newsrooms I'd haunted said she had skeletons in her walk-in closet bigger than the scandals I'd chased. But poison? Framing her daughter-in-law for murder? That was next-level Machiavellian. Even for her. I lunged, her body slower than mine, joints protesting like rusted hinges, but she was up in a flash, my lithe frame dodging with ease. Stay back. You hag, she spat, backing toward the ensuite. This body is mine now. Young. Fertile. Perfect for starting over. Derek will never know. Fertile. The word twisted like a knife. We've been trying for a baby for a year. Derek and I, whispering dreams of tiny feet pattering through our Lincoln Park brownstone. Evelyn had hated that, cooing about how I was wasting my prime on ink-stained stories instead of heirs. Now it clicked. The switch wasn't just revenge, it was theft. She wanted my life, my body, my marriage, my future. Sirens wailed in the distance. Neighbors probably spotting the commotion through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Evelyn, in my skin, grabbed my purse from the nightstand, rifling through it with frantic efficiency. Keys. Phone. Yes. She bolted for the door, but I blocked her. Adrenaline surging through veins that weren't mine. You think you can just waltz out as me? The cops will be here any second. They'll find your body, our body, full of whatever toxin you brewed up in that designer mug. Her, my all lips curled. Clever girl. But by then, I'll be Raylan Hargrove, the devastated wife who tried to save her monster-in-law. Tragic accident, they'll say. Overdose on painkillers mixed with cocoa. You always were the pill popper, weren't you? After that little breakdown last spring. Breakdown. The word ignited a fire in my borrowed chest. Last spring, I'd been pulled over on Lakeshore Drive. A ghost from my past in the rearview, Tommy Ruiz, my ex from community college, strung out and waving a gun. He'd fired wild, clipping my shoulder, but the cops pinned it on me, said I was the aggressor. High on something to explain the wild story, I babbled about his threats. Derek had swept in with Evelyn's lawyers, turning it into a slap on the wrist, mandatory counseling, a psych eval that branded me unstable. I'd lost my job at the Tribune, my byline buried under NDAs. And Evelyn? She'd patted my hand at the hearing, murmuring, "Family protects its own, dear." But it wasn't protection. It was a cover. Tommy had been her dirty secret, a low-level fixer she'd used to bury real estate scams back in the 90s, when Hargrove Investments was just a mom-and-pop laundering outfit. He'd resurfaced, blackmailing her with ledgers that could topple the empire. So she'd framed me for his assault, paying him off to vanish while I took the fall. The psych eval? Her doctor's signature, greased with donations to his clinic. My career in ruins. My reputation a joke, all so she could keep her throne. "You bitch," I whispered, Evelyn's voice cracking like fine china. "Tommy was yours. You let me rot for your sins," she smirked, inching toward the hallway. Sins? Darling, in this city, sins are just good business. Now step aside, or I'll scream bloody murder. Your murder. The door buzzer shrilled. Paramedics. Or worse. She shoved past, my body agile as a cat. And I followed. Her heels, my heels, clacking down the spiral staircase like gunshots. By the time we hit the foyer, blue lights flashed through the frosted glass. She yanked the door open, collapsing dramatically into the arms of the first responders. Help! Oh God! My mother-in-law, she's not breathing. I stood frozen, her silver hair falling like a shroud, as they rushed past me to the bedroom. Derek stumbled in from the den, bleary-eyed and reeking of bourbon. Ray? What the hell? His eyes widened at the scene, Evelyn's body on the floor, medics swarming. Then they flicked to me, to her shell I inhabited, and softened. Mom? Jesus. Mom. What happened? I opened my mouth, but words failed. How do you explain the impossible? That the woman he called mother was a serpent who'd just slithered into my skin to escape her crimes? As they loaded me onto a stretcher, Evelyn's husk pale and still, I realized the revenge wasn't just survival. It was war. And I had her body, her access, her power. Time to burn it all down from the inside. The ambulance screamed away, Derek riding shotgun, his face a mask of grief that twisted my gut. Evelyn Hargrove, for now, slipped into her chauffeured town car, the driver glancing back with professional detachment. Mrs. Hargrove, to the hospital. Ma'am? No, I said, her voice steady as Lake Michigan in winter. Take me to the office. There's work to do. Work. The word tasted like ash. Hargrove Investments loomed in my mind like a monolith, glass towers in the loop, boardrooms where deals were sealed with blood money disguised as bonuses. I'd always been the outsider, fetching coffee at holiday parties while Evelyn lorded over her domain. Now, I was queen. But queens fall if they don't watch their backs. The drive blurred, Michigan Avenue's holiday lights mocking the chaos in my head. My phone, her phone, buzzed incessantly, alerts from the exchange, texts from underlings, a voicemail from the family lawyer. I ignored them, staring at my reflection in the tinted window. Who was I now? Raylan in drag, or something sharper? Forged in betrayal's fire? By the time the car purred to a stop at the tower's valet, dawn was bleeding pink over the skyline. Security nodded me through familiar face. Retinal scan be damned, and I rode the private elevator to the executive floor. The office was a shrine to excess, mahogany desk the size of a small car. Walls lined with photos of Evelyn shaking hands with senators, mayors, even a faded shot with Obama from some fundraiser. I sank into her leather chair, the creak echoing like a confession. First things first, evidence. Tommy's ledgers, if they existed, would be here, buried in the digital vaults or safe behind that Rothko knockoff. But as I booted her triple monitor setup, a password prompt glowered. Of course. Evelyn's paranoia ran deep. She'd once joked about biometric locks on her underwear drawer. Think. Raylan, I muttered, fingers hovering. Our shared family password? No. Too obvious. Derek's birthday? Child's play. Then it hit. The one thing she'd guarded like a dragon, her wedding anniversary to Hargrove Sr. Dead 15 years from heart failure that smelled fishy even then. 07141972. Enter. The screens bloomed to life. Emails, spreadsheets, encrypted folders labeled with innocuous names, Q3 projections, vendor sync. I dove in, heart pounding, clicking like a woman possessed. Hours blurred, Coffee from the executive percolator turning to sludge in my gut until I hit patered, a subfolder buried under legacy files. Tommy Ruiz. Bingo. Documents spilled out. Wire transfers from the 90s. Payoffs disguised as consulting fees. Photos of derelict warehouses on the south side, rezoned overnight into luxury lofts after donations to City Hall. And there, in grainy black and white, Evelyn, young and fierce, handing an envelope to a strung-out kid who could only be Tommy. Timestamp, 1993. The year before I'd been born. But it was the attached memo that gutted me, a scanned letter from Evelyn to her late husband, typed in that imperious font she favored. Darling, the Ruiz boy knows too much. I've arranged for him to relocate. Discreetly. The firm can't afford loose ends. Relocate. Code for silenced. Tommy hadn't been blackmailing her last spring. He'd been her loose end. Dragged back from whatever hole she'd stuffed him in, only to have the tables turned when he pulled that gun. And me, collateral. She'd planted the story through a crooked cop buddy, ensured the dashcam malfunctioned, even slipped benzos into my wine that night to make the talk screen sing. I'd taken the rap for attempted murder. My life derailed, while she slept like a baby in her penthouse. Rage boiled. Hot and black. I wanted to smash the monitors, flood the servers with malware. But no, that was too clean. Revenge, real revenge, meant playing her game. Becoming her. Exposing her from the throne she'd claw to keep. A knock shattered the trance. My assistant, Carla, poked her head in, all bleached bob and Botox. Mrs. Hargrove, you're in early. Everything okay? I heard about the incident. Incident. Cute. Fine. Carla. Just tying up loose ends. I forced Evelyn's smile. The one that said bow or break. Cancel my 9 o'clock. And get Derek on the line, he'll need support. She nodded, vanishing like smoke. I leaned back, Evelyn's spine protesting, and plotted. Step 1. Secure the body. The hospital would declare Raylan brain dead soon. Evelyn's husk had flatlined on arrival. Docs later confirmed. But my body? Walking, talking, plotting. I'd need allies. Who? Not Derek. He'd by her act hook, line, and sinker. My sister, Lena? Too far in Philly. Too skeptical of my crazy stories. Then it clicked, Marcus. My old editor at the Trib. The grizzled vet who'd mentored me through my first exposé on Alderman Graft. Fired alongside me after Evelyn's lawyers leaned on the publisher. But he'd never stopped digging. If anyone would believe this insanity, it was him, cynical, chain-smoking, with a nose for bullshit like a bloodhound. I fired off an encrypted email from her account. Marcus, it's Ray. Need to meet. Coffee. The Wiener Circle. Noon. Come alone. Trust me, life or death. Send. The clock ticked toward 11. Time to descend into the viper pit. The board meeting. Evelyn's calendar screamed it. Quarterly review. Stuffed with VPs who'd sell their souls for her nod. I straightened her Chanel jacket, smoothed the pearls that felt like a noose, and strode out. Let the games begin. The conference room hummed with tension. Chicago's elite in tailored suits, nursing lattes from interns. They rose as I entered, respect, fear, a dash of loathing. Gentlemen, ladies, I purred, Evelyn's cadence wrapping around me like a second skin. Let's make this quick. Markets wait for no one. Slides flicked by. Profits up. Ethics down. I nodded at the right beats, interjecting with her signature barbs. That's adorable, Jenkins. But adorable doesn't pay dividends. Inside, I catalogued faces. Who flinched at the Ruiz mention in the risk assessment? Who avoided my eyes when offshore accounts scrolled past? By the end, I greenlit a deal that smelled rotten, another Southside flip. Warehouses to condos, with kickbacks funneled through Shellcore. Poison for the city, nectar for the firm. But as signatures dried, my phone vibrated. Derek. Voicemail.
Mom.
Ray's gone. They say it was an aneurysm.
But. God.
She was screaming your name. Come home. Please. Guilt stabbed, sharp as the heels pinching my feet. Derek. My rock.
Crumbling.
But he was hers now. Body and soul.
Or was he?
We'd met at a Hargrove gala. Him the charming heir. Me the wide-eyed reporter sniffing for dirt. Sparks. Secrets. A whirlwind wedding. Had she poisoned that too? Whispers of her disapproval. Tests she insisted on, prenup clauses that locked me out of the real power. The meeting wrapped. VPs scattering like roaches. I lingered, cornering Jenkins, the weasel who'd handled Tommy's relocation. A word. Richard. His Adam's apple bobbed. Mrs. Hargrove. The Ruiz file.
Pull it.
Discreetly. He paled. That's archived. Sensitive. Everything's sensitive until I say otherwise. I leaned in. Evelyn's perfume a weapon. Or, do you prefer I discuss your Cayman bonuses with the board? He slunk away, promising delivery by end of day. Victory tasted sour. Noon loomed. Time to test if madness had allies. The Wiener Circle was a dive in the shadow of the United Center. Grease and attitude since 45. I slid into a booth. Evelyn's fur coat drawing stares from the lunch rush, cops. Cabbies. The occasional tourist braving the cheese fries with cheese. Marcus arrived 5 minutes late. Trench coat flapping. Cigarette dangling unlit. His eyes, sharp as ever, narrowed at me. Ray? What the foo? I cut him off, sliding a fry across the formica. Not Ray. Not exactly.
Sit.
And don't scream. He dropped, wariness etching deeper lines. You look like death warmed over. Hargrove's death. Specifically. Heard the news, your body in the morgue. Brain dead. Cops calling it suicide by Coco. Classy. Poison, I whispered. Evelyn's voice too posh for the joint. She switched with me. Some occult shit. Or science I can't parse. Point is, I'm trapped in here. And she's out there wearing my face. Planning to bury me twice. He stared, then barked a laugh that turned heads. Jesus.
Kid.
You always had flair. But this? Body-snatching mother-in-law? That's tabloid gold. Even for you. Look at me. Marcus. Really look. I held up her hand, the sapphire ring from her engagement catching the light. This isn't a prank. Check the obits, they'll run tomorrow. Raylan Hargrove. 28. Passes suddenly. Meanwhile, she's got my ID. My prince. My goddamn womb. He's sobered, pinching the bridge of his nose. Assuming, and that's a big if, this ain't the lithium talking. Proof. I slid my phone across. The Ruiz folder open. Start here. She framed me for Tommy to cover her tracks. And that's just the appetizer. Help me. And we expose her. The whole rotten empire. He scrolled. Color draining. Holy shit. This is dynamite. But if you're her, how do I know you're not the snake? Fair. I leaned forward, dropping the act, my slang slipping through her vowels. Because the real Evelyn would have had you iced years ago, not begging for chili dogs. He grunted, a ghost of a smile.
Touché. All right.
Calamity Jane. Plan. First, corroborate. Your sources, that ex-cop buddy, the one who hates internal affairs. Can he pull the Ruiz file without bells? Jimmy?
Yeah.
Owes me from the Sterling scandal. He typed furiously on his burner. Next, keep eyes on Derek. She's seducing him back, my body, his heart. If she gets pregnant, the thought choked me. Our baby, hers. Marcus nodded grimly. Got a PI who does matrimonial. Discreet tale. He paused, eyes flicking to the door. But Ray, if this breaks wrong, we're both ghosts. She plays dirty. Dirtier than poison? I scoffed. But fear not. Evelyn's world was a minefield, one wrong step, and I'd detonate in her skin. We parted with a nod, no hugs, no sentiment. Back at the tower, Jenkins delivered a USB drive. Trembling hands. Burn it after.
Ma'am.
Please. Inside, more dirt. Emails to hitmen. Falsified audits. Even a trail to the mayor's slush fund. Evelyn wasn't just crooked, she was the bend in the river. But as I copied to the cloud, Marcus's dead drop server, a new alert pinged. DNA results from the hospital. Deceased, unidentified female. Approximate. 60s. Anomalous markers, possible chimerism. Chimerism. Twin souls in one shell? Or the switch's scar tissue. It bought time, no quick burial. Questions pending. Good. Let them poke. Evening fell. The city a glittering beast below. Derek texted, her text. From my phone, at the hospital.
Come see her.
One last time. Trap or bait? I drove myself, her Jag purring like a panther, and parked in the ER lot. Shadows lengthening. Inside, the ICU hummed with beeps and bleach. Derek slumped by the bed. My body empty now, tubes snaking like accusations. Mom. He rose, hugging me fierce. Evelyn's frame creaked under his weight. They say it's over. Aneurysm. But she fought, God. She fought. Fought. Because Evelyn's soul had fled, leaving husk. I pulled back, scanning his face, red-rimmed eyes, stubble shadowing that jaw I loved.
Derek.
Did Ray say anything? Before, he swallowed. Your name. Accusing. Like you two fought again.
Pause.
She always said you hated her. Hated. The lie stung.
Derek.
Listen. A nurse bustled in. Visiting hours ending. Family only for the wife.
Wife. Me.
Him.
Us.
My throat tightened. I am family, she frowned. Ma'am. The patient's spouse is.
Well.
You. He blinked. Mom? What? Alarms wailed, my body convulsing. Monitors flatlining. Nurses swarmed. Derek shoved back. I stood frozen as they called it. Time of death. 7:42 p.m.
Gone.
My shell. Discarded like trash. Evelyn free. Me entombed. But as they wheeled her away, I whispered to the empty air. Not yet.
You bitch.
Game's just starting. Grief hit Derek like a lakeshore gale. But for me, it was fuel black. Viscous. Powering the engine of what came next. The funeral was a circus. St. Michael's packed with Chicago's who's who. Eulogies dripping hypocrisy from lips that had kissed Evelyn's ring for decades. I stood at the podium in her black Chanel. Her pearls a cold weight, delivering a send-off that was half tribute, half Trojan horse. Raylan was light in our darkness, I said, voice cracking just right. A fighter, like her father-in-law. She deserved better than this city chews up and spits out. Murmurs rippled, sympathy for the tragic young widow, suspicion in the back rows where old rivals eyed me. Derek clutched her hand from the front pew, his grip a lifeline I couldn't afford. After, at the wake in the penthouse, he pulled me aside, bourbon breath hot.
Mom.
You were different. Up there. Like you knew her. I froze. Evelyn's heart stuttering. I did.
Son.
Better than most. A sip of scotch to steady hers. Peaty and expensive. She confided things. Regrets. His eyes searched mine, her eyes. Like what? Like how she loved you more than life. And me? She saw me as the daughter she never had.
Lies.
Layered thick as fog off the lake. But they landed, softening his shoulders. Phase 1. Keep him close. Unravel her web from within. That night, alone in her master suite, Derek crashed in the guest room. Sedated by grief, I pored over the USB. Patterns emerged, Evelyn's empire built on bones. The 90s South Side flips, gentrification on steroids. Displacing families with eminent domain bribes. Tommy was just the messenger. She'd silenced dozens, whistleblowers vanishing into accidents, rivals bought or buried. One file chilled, a 2008 memo on Derek. The boy shows promise, but softness. Marry him off to someone pliable. Secure the line. Pliable.
Me.
The good girl from the suburbs. No family ties to complicate. She'd vetted me like livestock. Even before Derek's proposal, background checks deeper than the FBI's. And when I proved too nosy, too ambitious, Tommy's gun. My fall. Controversial decision number 1. I'd let her frame me. Too shell-shocked to fight. Took the plea. The therapy. Because Derek begged. For us.
Ray.
Don't let her win. But she had. Until now. Marcus's update came at 2 a.m. Jimmy the cop confirmed the Ruiz dashcam error. Tampered footage. Evelyn's prints nowhere because gloves. But a partial on the gun traced to her safe house in Pilsen. You're a miles dirtier than a stockyard, he texted. Meet tomorrow. Bring fire.
Fire.
I'd bring hell. But first, consolidate power. Morning board call. I announced morning leave for the firm, time to honor Raylan's memory, while quietly freezing assets. Emails flew. Auditors summoned. Irregularities flagged. VPs squawked. But Evelyn's rep as Ice Queen silenced them. By lunch, whispers of a purge circulated.
Good.
Let them scatter. Derek woke mid-morning. hollow-eyed over coffee. I can't stay here.
Mom.
Too many ghosts. Stay, I urged, her hand on his, gentle, maternal. For me. We're all that's left. He nodded, reluctant. That afternoon, we walked the Mag Mile, arm in arm, normalcy's facade. Tourists blurred past, bags rustling like conspiracies. At Gucci, he bought me, her, a scarf, whispering, "You need color.
Mom.
Black suits you, but not forever. Color." My old laugh bubbled up, stifled to her chuckle. Flatterer. Like your wife.
Wife.
The word hung, and he flushed guilt, or something darker. That night, over takeout Thai, he cracked, "Ray. She thought you were poisoning her life." Jokes.
But.
Dark ones. My fork paused. She said that, after fights. When you'd push the prenup, the job stuff. He rubbed his neck. I defended her. Always. Always. The betrayal stung fresh, his blindness her greatest weapon. But cracks showed. Lately.
Though.
She changed.
Happier.
Said she was writing again. Writing.
Me.
The journalist. Scribbling exposés in secret. Evelyn. In my skin. Playing house while plotting. Where was she? Hiding? Or bolder, slipping back into our brownstone? Seducing him slow? Enough. I excused myself, retreating to her study. A quick hack, Marcus's script on her laptop, pinged my old phone's GPS. Nothing. Switched off. Smart bitch. Next day, the PI's report landed. Subject, female. Mid-20s. Resembling Raylan Hargrove, spotted at O'Hare. Private charter to Napa. Hargrove jet. Off books. Napa. Evelyn's retreat, a vineyard estate where she wined and dined investors. Escape? Or regroup? I booked commercial, Evelyn's Amex. First class, and left Derek a note. Business calls. Back soon.
Love.
Mom. The flight was torture, her body aching in the seat. Economy envy from my old self bubbling. Touchdown in wine country. Rental beamer hugging curves to the estate. Gates loomed. Wrought iron mocking. Security waved me through, face wreck. Again. The house sprawled. Tuscan villa plunked in California hills. Infinity pool overlooking vines. Guest house for discreet meetings. I parked. Striding in like I owned it, which, technically, her shell did. She was there, lounging by the pool in my bikini, 28 and flawless. A mimosa sweating in hand. Mother, she drawled, not looking up. You found me. Persistent. Aren't we? I stopped. Evelyn's loafers sinking in turf. Cut the crap. This ends. She rose. Fluid as sin. Circling me. Ends? Darling. It begins. This body, yours, it's divine. Energy. Skin like silk. And Derek? He barely noticed. Called me babe last night. Before I left. My eyes gleamed. Imagine me. Pregnant with his child. Heir to it all. You. Rotting in this husk till it drops. Rage blinded. I lunged, but she sidestepped, my old reflexes mocking her slowness. TSK. Frail. Aren't you? All that Pilates wasted. Give it back, I snarled. Whatever ritual. Drug, undo it. She laughed. Full-throated. No ritual.
Pet.
Just science. My little project, nanites in the cocoa. Programmed to swap neural maps on trigger. From a DARPA contact. Back channel. Cost a fortune. But worth it for pests like you. Science. Not magic, worse. Reversible? The trigger. Dead with the vial. Poof. She sipped. Casual. But why rush? I've plans. First, seduce Derek fully. Then,
As you.
dismantle the firm from outside, leak scandals, blame grieving widows' instability. You'll take the fall. Again. Poetic. No. Poetic. The word ignited. Controversial choice too. Mercy or mirror. I could kill her now. Push.
Drown.
Make it accident. No witnesses. Her empire mine to torch. But that made me her. Instead. You're done, Evelyn. Files are out. Tommy's truth. The bribes, Marcus's copies. Feds en route. Bluff. Half true. Jimmy was digging. But slow. Her face, mine, twisted.
Lies.
You'd never. I held up her phone. Marcus's text. Feds looped. Warrants incoming. Timestamp. 5 minutes ago. She paled. My freckles stark. You wouldn't. Derek. Fuck Derek. You used him like bait. I stepped closer. Voice dropping. And me? Your scapegoat for decades. Time you tasted it. She bolted for the house. But I was ready, Evelyn's pepper spray. Tucked in her purse. A blast. And she crumpled, coughing, my body writhing. I zip-tied her wrists, her own cuffs from the drawer, dragged her to the wine cellar.
Cool. Dark.
Racks like prison bars. Hours later, head pounding, I surfaced a call to Marcus. Got her. Send extraction. Jesus.
Ray.
You're in deep. Deeper than wine.
Pause. Derek.
Safe. Mourning you, the old you. But he's asking questions. About mom's trips. Questions. Cracks widening. Keep him stalled. Tell him I'm scattered. Ashes at sea or some shit. Cellar door locked. Her muffled curses fading. I poured a real mimosa. Toasting the vines. Victory? Or intermission? Back in Chicago 2 days later. The firm buzzed, FBI suits in the lobby. Jenkins, singing like a canary. Evelyn's arrest hit the wires. Hargrove COO nabbed in multi-million fraud sting. No body swap mention. Nanites undetectable. Her confession, delusional rants. She'd lawyered up. But the ledgers talked louder. Derek greeted me at the door.
Hello. Mom.
The news. It's everywhere. I nodded. Her arms folding. She was rotten.
Son. I
knew. You. Shock rippled. How long? Long enough.
Truth.
Half buried. But Ray, she suspected. That's why. He deflated. The fight. The cocoa.
God.
Was it? Poison. The word dropped like lead. For her. But she switched some tech. Stole my body to escape. He stared. World tilting. What? I explained, madness spilling. Nanites. The swap. His face cycled, denial. Horror.
Pity. You're. Still you?
In there? Every cursed inch. Tears, hers, tracked salt. I did it for us. To end her. He collapsed onto the couch, head in hands. My wife.
Dead.
My mother. A monster. And you, God.
Ray.
What now?
Now.
The question loomed. Controversial 3. Confess all? Risk asylum?
Or play on?
We rebuild. Together. But his eyes darkened. Rebuild? You knew? Mom, Ray, whatever. And let her frame you? For years. Defensive. I was trapped. Fighting her was suicide. Not for me. He stood. Voice steel. I defended her. Believed her lies. And you. You became her.
Became.
The accusation landed. Had I? The boardroom barbs. The asset freezes. Evelyn's moves.
Mirrored.
He grabbed his coat. I need air. Time. The door slammed. Echo hollow. Alone in her penthouse, our prison, I poured scotch.
Neat.
Rebuild? Or burn? Marcus called. Evelyn's flipping. Singing about the mayor. Even. But she's claiming you're the imposter. Psych eval pending. Imposter. The twist coiled. Let her. Truth's a weapon. But as night fell, Derek's absence gnawed. Text. At a hotel. Don't follow. Heart, hers, ached like mine never had. Morning brought heat. Tabloids screaming. Hargrove air in hiding. Grief or guilt. Paparazzi swarmed the lobby. I dodged to the garage. Jag roaring toward Lincoln Park. Our brownstone mine. Once loomed. Lights off. Key turned. Silence greeted. Upstairs. Bed unmade. My journals scattered. Evelyn's touch. Underlined passages on revenge. Circled names. Marcus.
Jimmy.
She'd been reading me. Learning. A floorboard creaked. I spun. But too slow, her body betraying. Derek emerged from shadows. Eyes wild. You lied. Again. Derek. The journals. You planned this. The switch, your idea. To take her down.
No.
I called the doctor. The chimerism matches your DNA anomalies from the accident. Tommy's bullet, it fused something. Made you. Compatible. Compatible. The reverse truth slammed home. Last spring. Not just framing, Tommy's shot had altered me. Cellular freak show. Evelyn discovered. Weaponized it. But the memos? My doing? Flash, pre-swap. I'd hacked her files months ago. Tipped Marcus anonymously. Revenge brewing slow. The cocoa switch? Not impulse, calculated. After finding the nanite vial in her purse. I'd played her game first. Became the monster to slay one. Derek's voice cracked. You poisoned her life long before the cup. For what? A byline? Justice.
Weak.
She destroyed me. And I? Your husband. He backed away. Stranger now. The chasm yawned. Controversial 4. Truth's cost. End it? The brownstone felt like a tomb that night. Shadows pooling in corners where our dreams used to whisper. Derek paced the living room. My old yoga mat still curled by the fireplace like a question mark. While I, trapped in Evelyn's brittle shell, sank onto the couch that still smelled of us. Pine and lavender. Faded now under the weight of revelations. His words hung, stranger. Not just to him, to myself. The line between avenger and villain had blurred, ink bleeding on the page of my life. I'd started this not with the cup, but months back, in the quiet fury of a woman scorned twice over. It began with the hack. After the Tommy fallout, sleepless nights in mandated therapy, I'd cracked Evelyn's firewall on a whim, old reporter's trick. Phishing email disguised as a charity gala invite. What spilled out wasn't just dirt, it was a blueprint of betrayal. Not only had she orchestrated my framing, but Derek. Our meeting wasn't chance. She'd engineered it. Bumped into me at a bookstore reading on corporate malfeasance. Accidentally left her card. Bright girl like you deserves better than ink. Then sick Derek on me at that gala. Scripted charm offensive. Pliable wife for the heir. To lock the dynasty. I'd seethed, but swallowed for him. Until the journals, Evelyn's private ones, digitized in her cloud. Entries dripping venom. Raylan's too clever by half. Must neuter the ambition. Therapy first, then the incident. Tommy's gun. Her call to him. Make it messy, but survivable. Pins her as unstable. That's when the plan crystallized. Not murder, too crude, too final. Exposure.
Slow burn.
I tipped Marcus crumbs, built the dossier. The nanites? I'd found them first. In her study during a family dinner, vial labeled Project Echo, notes on neural swaps from black budget trials.
DARPA cast-offs.
Meant for spies. Twisted for personal vendettas. I'd pocketed a sample. Researched in shadows, reversible with a counteragent. If you knew the code. But the Cocoa Night?
Impuls met intent.
She offered the mug. Her gift laced with a swap trigger. I smelled it, almonds, cyanide base, and switched. Not just spite,
but to test. To force her hand.
When she drank, convulsed, and the swap hit. I'd won the shell game. Or so I thought.
Now.
Derek stopped pacing. Face a storm. You played God.
Ray.
With her life. With mine. She played first. Evelyn's voice rasped. Defensive. Framed me. Stole years. I took them back. Took. He laughed. Bitter. You're her now. Boardroom tyrant. Freezing accounts like she did suppliers. I saw the emails. Guilt twisted. True, I'd wielded her power like a club. Purging crooks but alienating innocents. Carla, the assistant, laid off in the purge. Collateral for speed. Controversial. Yes, and justify? In America's cutthroat capitalism. Maybe. But his eyes said no. I did it to end the cycle, I pleaded.
For us.
The baby, our future. Baby, he recoiled. With what body? You're 62.
Ray.
Menopause hit her years ago. The slap of reality. No heirs. No rewind. Just this husk. Aging fast. Science.
No.
He grabbed his keys. You're not my wife. You're a ghost in grave clothes. Door slammed. Gone again. I crumpled. Pearls digging like barbs. Cell buzzed. Marcus. Feds have enough. Evelyn's crumbling. Full confession. Swap included. But she's naming you as co-conspirator. Raylan planned it all. Of course. Her final strike. Paint me the mastermind. Twist the truth. I lured Tommy. I dosed the cocoa. Reversal complete. victim to villain. Panic surged.
Run?
To what? Evelyn's offshore accounts. No. That made her right. Fight. Go public. My story. Nanite proof. But proof? The vial destroyed in the swap's chemistry. Dawn broke gray. Rain lashing windows like accusations. I dressed, her suits too stiff, and drove to the Trib's old haunts. A coffee shop haunt for stringers. Marcus waited. Nursing black drip. Face like chewed leather. You're trending, he said. Sliding the Sun-Times. Headline. Hargrove's scandal. Widow's shadow looms. Sub. Sources say Raylan orchestrated fall. She's good, I muttered. Evelyn's fingers drumming. Twisting the knife.
He leaned in.
We counter. Your byline. Ghosted through me. From the inside, a daughter-in-law's nightmare. Full magnum opus. Framing. Swap. Empires rot. With what? My word against hers. Jimmy's got the dashcam recovery. Tech wizardry. Shows Evelyn's goons planting the scene. And the nanites? Labs analyzing the tox from her body, your body. Anomalies match DARPA leaks I chased in 15. Hope flickered.
Derek.
PI says he's at the Palmer house. Drowning in Glenlivet. Talking divorce to you.
Divorce.
The word gutted. Our vows. In sickness. Richer. Poorer. But this? Body horror. Soul theft. Write it, I said. But hold the swap. 2 X-Files. Focus on the crimes. He nodded. Smart. Controversial enough. Corporate cannibalism. Family is fraud. Readers lead it. Debate if you're saint or sinner. Sinner. The mirror in the restroom confirmed. Evelyn's lines deepening. My fire dimming. Back home, penthouse now. Brownstone derricks. I drafted with her Montblanc. Words flowing. Venom to velvet. Betrayal's arc. Love's blind spot. Power's price. Submitted by midnight. Marcus's nod. Gold. Fallout hit like a nor'easter. By morning. Alert screamed. Trib expose rocks Chicago elite. Shares tanked. Mayor's office in spin mode. Protests brewed on the loop Southside voices. Displaced families chanting. Justice for the forgotten. Evelyn's arraignment streamed live. Orange jumpsuit on my frame. Hair matted. Eyes feral. It's her, she shrieked at the camera. Raylan's the devil. Swapped us to steal it all. Bail denied. The judge. A face from her donor list. Couldn't hide the flinch. Public hung jury. Hargrove hoax trended. Half pitying poor Evelyn. Half crowing, burn the witch. Derek called then.
Voice slurry.
Saw the piece.
Ray.
It's you. All you. Relief flooded. Come home. Please. Home.
Pause.
Glass clink. Which one? The one you torched. Silence stretched. I did it for truth. Truth. Bitter laugh. Or revenge. You let me grieve you. While plotting in her skin. I no defense. Controversial 5. Love's limits. Forgive the unforgivable? He hung up. Door stayed shut. Weeks blurred. Depositions. Leaks. The firm's carcass picked clean. I sold assets. Penthouse to a tech bro. Vineyards to eco funds, funneling proceeds to victims' trusts. Evelyn's empire. Dismantled brick by brick. Marcus's byline sword, mine. Shadow legend. But isolation nod. Lena visited once. My sister. Eyeing me wary. Sis, in that,
Spill.
I did swap. Sins.
The rest.
She hugged fierce. You're still Ray. That's hit.
But you.
But Derek. Give him space. Space became chasm. Months in, a letter arrived. His handwriting on Palmer stationery. Ray, I can't. The body's gone, but the lies linger. You're free. Be happy.
D. Free.
The word mocked. I burned it in the brownstone fireplace, his now. Mine never again, ashes swirling like lost years. Twist deepened. Evelyn's trial. She pled insanity. Nanites her delusion. Psych eval? Dissociative episode. Stress-induced. But Jimmy's dashcam dropped. Grainy proof of her planting the gun. Jury swayed. But hung. Deadlock on intent. Retrial loomed. Controversial 6. Mercy plea?
No.
Full throttle. I testified. Evelyn's poise masking my fire. She stole my life.
Twice.
Don't let her steal justice. Verdict. Guilty. Fraud and conspiracy. 20 years. Minimum. As they led her, my old body, away, she spat. You'll rot alone. Imposter. Alone. The echo followed home. Winter clammed Chicago in iron. Snow muffling the city's roar to a dull ache that mirrored my own. The trial's dust settled like drifts on Michigan Avenue. Evelyn shipped to a supermax upstate, my youthful frame caged. Irony's bitter pill. Reporters hounded the penthouse steps. But I ghosted them. Evelyn's alias is Shield. E. Hargrove. Philanthropist. Funds from the fire sale built community centers on the south side. Plaques reading, in memory of Raylan, truth teller. Poetic justice. Or self-aggrandizing. Debates raged in comment sections. Ethicists on podcasts. Vigilante or visionary. Hargrove's fall exposes America's underbelly, or creates one.
Me?
I debated mirrors. Her face aged faster now. Silver threading white. Joints creaking like the Elliott rush. Doctors confirmed. Accelerated telomeres. The swap's backlash. 5 years shaved per one stolen. I'd die old in a young war. Derek vanished into the ether. Rumors of a Silicon Valley reboot. Coding startups with ex-Hargrove tech. No calls. No cards. Our brownstone sold. Proceeds split silent through lawyers. The baby we dreamed? A ghost. Unborn. Controversial 7. Regrets razor. Had I chosen wrong? The hack. The switch. The purge. Could I have exposed without embodying her? Walked away clean? But clean in this town was a myth. Corruption clung like lake effect smog. I'd traded innocence for impact. Love for legacy. Worth it? Ask the families rehomed. The whistleblowers vindicated. Ask the empty side of the bed. Spring thawed the ice. Blooming dogwoods mocking my stasis. Marcus dragged me to a trib gala. Show your face.
Kid.
Own the narrative. I went. Evelyn's gown flowing like regret. Her diamonds flashing under chandeliers. Whispers trailed. That's her, the switcher. Hands shook mine tentative. Eyes probing for the seam. Then, across the ballroom, him. Derek. Sharper suited. Arm linked with a redhead, tech journo. Per the program. Our eyes met. Current arcing. He approached. Polite distance. Ray. No mom, no warmth. You look. Well. Liar. Her smile. My quip. You. Surviving.
Pause.
The piece yours? It gutted the mayor. Good work. Thanks. Awkward. Air thick. Her. Rotting. Writes me letters, rants. Says you're the real monster. I am. Confession slipped.
Raw.
Derek.
I.
The redhead materialized. Hand extended. Adelaide Voss. Your exposé inspired my book.
Book.
Competition? Ally? She chattered algorithms and ethics. He watched. Guarded. Later. On the terrace overlooking the river, Chicago's vein. Polluted yet pulsing. He cornered me.
Why? Ray?
Really? Love. Simple. Shattering. Hated her for hurting us. Thought destroying her fixed it. Fixed.
He scoffed.
You became her. Power suits you.
Stung.
Then why come? To see. Eyes softened. Fraction. The woman I married or the ghost? Both. Wind whipped. Her hair lashing. I miss you. Me too. Whisper. But trust's a casualty. Like the body. Silence. Bridge unbuilt. Adelaide called. He went. Glance lingering. Months later. A package, unmarked, postmarked Valley. Inside, my old locket. Engraved, forever yours, D. Note. Found in storage. Keep or return. Your call.
Kept.
Wore it under her blouse. Talisman against the fade. Summer scorched. Trials of another sort. Evelyn's appeal. She claimed abuse, my machinations. The swap is assault. Media circus. Body horror or hoax? Experts debated nanites on CNN. Ethicists crying, eugenics light. I countered in op-eds. Ghosted. Justice isn't anatomy. It's accountability. Appeal denied. Her final letter smuggled. You win.
Daughter.
But rot tastes like ash. Enjoy the throne.
Throne?
Empty. I sold the last shares. Retired to a Wrigleyville walk-up. Modest. Mine. Gardens bloomed on fire escapes. Neighbors nodding wary. Marcus visited Sundays. Ribs and ribs, pun intended, swapping stories. Your legend?
Kid.
The swapper who sank an empire. Legend or cautionary? I laughed. Her voice lighter now.
Practiced.
Both. That's America, heroes with heel turns. Fall painted leaves crimson. Echoes of blood, not spilled. A call. Derek. Adelaide's book drops next week. Dedication. To the original truth teller, R.H. R.H.
Me.
Flattered.
More.
Dinner? Neutral ground. The old diner. Diner. Our first date spot. Formica and fries. Yes. We met under neon buzz. Him alone. No redhead. Booths sagged familiar. Talk skirted. His startup. Her book. The weather's wrath. Then, the locket. Wore it today. Flash. Silver glint. He nodded. Missed that fire in your eyes. Even in hers. Hers. The gulf. Derek. Sure. Hand over mine. Her wrinkles against his smooth. No fixes.
Just.
This.
This.
Coffee. Conversation. Cracks mending slow. No vows renewed. No bodies swapped back, science's limit. But possibility. Fragile as first snow. Climax came quiet. Evelyn's suicide. Razor in Supermax shower. My old wrist slashed. Poetic end to her masquerade. Note: trapped in hell. The thief returns stolen goods. Guards found a vile shard. Counteragent? Too late. Dissolved. Derek and I scattered her ashes, mine. Once, off Navy Pier. Wind scattering like confetti regrets. Free, he murmured. Finally.
Ending?
No tidy bow. We dated. Cautious dinners. Walks. His hand in mine navigating her frailty.
Wedding?
Whispers. No rush. Baby? Adopted dreams. A girl from the trusts. Wide-eyed wonder. Debate lingers. Villain or victor? I avenged. But at what cost? Love's fracture. Self-splinter? America's dark heart. Revenge sates. But starves. Thrilling. Tense. Twisted, we argue still. Over late-night scotch. His head on my shoulder. And in quiet, I whisper to the mirror, rail in one, but whose face stares back. That's the controversy. Eternal,